Good morning, grade 6. Today, inshallah, we'll be revising the science. We'll be revising the lessons. How do environmental changes affect organisms? How does energy move through ecosystem? How do people conserve resources? So right now, those are the lessons that we have took together. How do environmental changes affect organisms? And how do energy move through ecosystem? And how do people conserve resources? Okay, how do people conserve resources? So right now, let's start answering this worksheet. The first question asks you to fill in the blanks with a suitable word from the word bank. Here's the word bank having the words scavengers, pioneer, drought, omnivores, succession, intercropping. The first question here asks you, it occurs when there is no rainfall. Remember when I showed you what occurs when there is no rainfall? Here's it. It occurs when there is no rainfall. Drought occurs when there is no rainfall. The earth becomes dry, the ground becomes dry, very dry, and has water. It's like hunger for water. Okay, so drought occurs when there is no rainfall. The first organism to colonize as lichens, or what do we call this species? Remember in this lesson when we said, in the same lesson, when we said after the drought occurs and all those drastic conditions occur to earth, like volcanic eruptions and heavy storms and water change and weather change and volcanic eruption, what happens next? Earth try to recover from what happened, right? And we call this process the succession. It's a gradual recovery, gradual change and build up again, become good again, become healthy again, become growing again. So the earth needs to do succession process. In the succession process, the first organisms to start colonizing as lichens, remember them here in the first part, we called them what species? Pioneer species. Pioneer means they are the leaders, they are the first, they are the leader, they are the first species to colonize. So the first organisms to colonize as lichens, we call them pioneer species. Animals that eat both plants and animals are called, of course, we call them omnivores. Like man is an example, we are examples of omnivores. We are not animals, but we as man, as human being, we are examples of omnivores because we eat both plants and animals. The next question is the planting of more than one crop in the same field at the same time. So remember this here, it's the last slide in the last lesson is about planting more than one crop in the same field at the same time, and we said why do we do this? In order to conserve the soil and make use of the soil for a lot of plants together. So intercropping is the word, is the right term for this definition. Intercropping is planting of more than one crop in the same field at the same time in order to conserve the soil. Animals that eat dead remains of plants and animals are called, we call them scavengers. Why? Because scavengers feed on dead remains of plants and animals. Okay, the gradual change and buildup of organisms in an environment is called, I have just mentioned it, it's what? Succession. And remember there was primary succession and secondary succession. So it's the gradual buildup, it's the recovery of earth again. Question number 2, write whether true or false. Volcanic eruption causes total destruction of the ecosystem. It destroys the ecosystem. That's true. That's true. It destroys it. Remember when there is lava and everything's actually destroyed. Plants die, animals die. When the lava erupts, from the volcano, what happens? Of course, the plants around the mountains die, the animals die because the lava is really hot. So it's going to cause destruction in the total ecosystem. Only 10% of energy is used for life processes. Let's check. I know that the answer is not correct, but how many is used for life processes? Let's see the lesson. How do energy move through the ecosystem? Remember here, the last slide, we said that the 90% of the available energy is used for life process and only 10% is passed from one level to another. So the first level passes only 10% to the next level, and then the next level passes only 10% to the next level. But they use 90%, like producers use 90% of the available energy for its life processes. So here it's wrong, it's false, because the answer is 90% is used for life processes and 10% is only leveled up. The final link in a food chain are decomposers. Yes, it's correct. The final link is decomposers, always. The final link, decomposers are the final link in a food chain. True. Deers are herbivores. Of course, yes, because deer feed on plants. Brown anole is an invasive species. Let's remember when I told you the examples of those who are going to invade the class. Remember this? So brown anole is an invasive species. When the brown anole takes the food of the green anole, okay, and eats it, what happens? Brown anole is an invasive species of lizard that competes with the green anole for food and space. So yes, brown anole is an invasive species. Match the following. The line is, we have here on this column lion, cow, man, bacteria, and the other column we have omnivore, carnivore, decomposer, and herbivore. So the first one here, the line is, the lion eats what? Eats meat only, eats animals, so we call it a carnivore. Carnivore. And the cow eats what? Eats herbs from the ground, so we call it herbivore. And the man, just like I said from a while, the man eats both animals and plants, so we call it omnivore. And the bacteria feeds on the dead animals and plants, so we call it decomposer. Decomposer. Okay. Now circle the correct answer. First link in the food chain is always and forever, forever and ever. The first link in a food chain is plants, and plants are producers. Plants are producers, so the correct answer would be producer. Dodo and golden toads are which species? Are they invasive or extinct species? Remember here, the dodo and the golden toad and dodo, they are both extinct species. Extinction occurred to those species and they are no longer there, they died already. So like the dinosaurs, okay? So dodo and golden toads are extinct species. They have extinct, they no longer exist on earth. Follows the natural curves of the land, preventing soil from washing away in heavy rain. What's this? Following the natural curves of the land. This is in the last lesson we took, and this is what we mean by contour farming. Contour farming is a way to prevent soil from washing away and to conserve the soil, reduce the soil loss. So this is a definition for contour farming. Contour farming. Now this question asks you to rewrite the food chain in correct order. You have caterpillar. Remember the caterpillar I showed you in the class, the pictures for it, and the grass and the snake and frog. So if we want to start by forming this food chain, we have to start with a producer, with a plant. So we will start with grass first, and then what eats grass? Remember when I showed you the picture, what eats the plant, the leaf? The caterpillar. Of course, caterpillar eats the leaves, feeds on the leaves. And then what can feed on the caterpillar? Is it snake or frog? Of course it is frog. And then what eats the frog? The snake. Okay, if you want to make sure, you can go to the slides here and check. Not this lesson, it's the energy, moving energy. Here is it. The caterpillar, the flowers at the beginning, or the grass, then the caterpillar, then the frog, and then at last the snake eats the frog. Okay, now this is an important question. In any exam, enumerate the factors that bring changes to the environment. What are the factors that we have studied that actually brings change to the environment? Remember here when we took the factors weather change, like ice age and the temperature of earth, and the volcanic eruptions and the heavy storms that wash away the land, and the mudslides that destroys the plant growth, and the drought. So all of those are factors that bring changes to the environment. This is an enumerate question. It's important question. Okay, so you just have to enumerate them. And as well, enumerate the 3 R's that help to conserve our natural resources. What are the 3 R's that help to conserve our natural resources? The 3 R's are reducing, reusing, and recycling. Remember this picture: reduce, reuse, and recycle. So it's as well an enumeration question, and it's important. You just have to memorize them and write them in the exam. Now, for the last question in our revision, fill in the pyramid with the words in the word bank. We have the word carnivore, producer, omnivore, and herbivore. We said always that an energy pyramid, this pyramid, energy pyramid, shall always start with a plant, producer, right? So, producer is the first level in the energy pyramid. And then what eats the plants? Herbivores, of course. So herbivores are in the second level. And then what eats the herbivores, the animals that eat herbivores? Who? Omnivores, because omnivores eat both plants and animals. And then what comes at the end? Carnivores, because carnivores will eat only animals. So this is the correct graduation of the energy pyramid. Starts with producers, herbivore, omnivore, and ends with carnivore. Let's look for here, as you know, in this slide, herbivores and carnivores, omnivores. So we start always with producers, then herbivores, and then omnivores and carnivores, and then carnivores at the end. What I have wrote for you is the correct gradual ordering of the energy pyramid. Starts with producers, then herbivores, then omnivores and carnivores, and as well at the end carnivores. Like here you can write omnivore and carnivores, both. Okay, it's correct. So this is our revision for today. Thank you very much for paying attention, and good luck inshallah in your science and math exams. Thank you very much.